all of this to say it's not about finding a resolution. I think it's just about having more integration in the direction that you're heading towards. It's not, that old saying goes, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I think that that's really applicable here.
I know it's wrong, but I don't care.
Hi, welcome back to the Honey Toast Podcast.
Welcome back. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I missed you.
I missed you.
I mean, I still miss you. You're still far away, but you know what I mean. I've missed this.
Yes, me too. Between moving across the country, having 3 birthdays and I don't know, like 6 holidays after our move until now, lots of technical difficulties.
It's been a season of its own, like an off-screen, offline camera. So thank you guys for joining us. For our listeners, we also just found out we were in the top 15% of the Spotify listeners for 2025, which is insane and so exciting. And we need to set some sort of celebration, Brie, because
I agree.
It was a lot of work our first year. Like we talked about it a little bit on our lives, a lot more than I think either you or I anticipated.
Definitely. I think what we've both been going through and realizing through these last, 6 months in this phase of life. And it's ironic because even though we had this big chunk of time where we weren't recording episodes and we weren't able to get episodes out, I feel like we were both going through so much that who we are now in order to produce the upcoming episodes is a completely different version of us with different insight and different perspective than we would have been had we continued to record that whole way through. So I think it's all meant to be.
Yeah. So let's start off. Okay. I guess we're still technically in season 2 because we kind of left off in mid-November, kind of left you guys hanging a little bit. We did move into lives on a weekly basis. I'm just trying to keep you informed. If you didn't see us over there on Instagram and you've just kind of are following us here on the podcast platform, basically to catch you up where we were hopping on lives weekly just to kind of keep the momentum going, conversations going, that we didn't disappear or anything. We just had to take a step back and kind of reset and reevaluate ourselves. So let's go back to November and start from there and then talk about the new year and kind of, there's some really important themes that we want to bring up today that is an underlying affecting both of us and kind of the growth and changes we've experienced over these past few months and just the energy around, I think. So November. Was it November? It was October. We were in Arizona visiting you.
Yeah. So you and Sam and Lisa all came to visit in October. We had only been living in the new house for, I think, a month, maybe. I
was going to say 2 weeks. I was like, wasn't it 2 weeks?
Honestly, it might have been 2 or 3 weeks. It was really quick. No, yeah, it was. You're right. It was like 2 or 3 weeks when you guys came. So life was very chaotic still at that time. And
the girls just started school. Like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, I think, I said this to you when you were here. I don't know. I think because of baseball and having moved so many times over the years, in my mind, I was like, oh, it's just another move. It usually takes me about 2 weeks to get settled back in and back into a routine. Over the years of experience of moving, I figured this out. But I was not prepared for how big this move was because it was the first time that it was a permanent move and not a temporary one, which meant we had to actually uproot and move our entire lives. And Josh had also been retired for 2 years. So we got into such a routine. And I think I was totally oblivious to how big and what a change it would be. So 2 weeks was grossly underrated of how much time I needed to get settled in. More like 4 months, but here we are.
I think where we went wrong was not only that it was just 2 weeks of your biggest move of your life, was that we were trying to combine 2 birthday trips, a girls trip, a work trip, a moving in trip, all in like 4 or 5 days while sightseeing, while connecting,
A lot.
and having children there. My God, it was a lot for, I think, all of our nervous systems. So, and it being just like that time of year with fall coming back here, We had just gotten over hand, foot, and mouth disease. I had just gotten my initiation into like my outbreak of psoriasis and like that journey into my own health care and nervous system reset. And that's where you guys like really saw that gap with us, was kind of like that a little bit more silent or recalibration. Also being mixed with the holidays. You have your daughter's birthday, Thanksgiving, it was your husband's 40th, Christmas, your family came down. It was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was like so much of, like as modern women these days are always being sold the lie that we can do it all and have it all. So it's like running a side hustle on top of a business while being a full-time mom, while being a good friend and wife and sister and all these things. We're always told we can have it all. And like you believe it because there's moments where you have the energy to do it all, but at what cost? It always kind of leads to this burnout. So I think that this was really good for you and I to have a recalibration and reorganization and not seeing it as like, oh, we didn't stay as consistent as we would have liked to, we failed. No, it's just kind of like moving like life does and women do and people do. And it's pausing, redirecting, shifting. It's like our commitment to each other and this work will never shift. It's just kind of like the pattern in which we present it and how we live it changes as time goes on. So we will do our best to keep you guys as informed and be as transparent as we go through these things so you can be along for the journey, because we go through a lot more of the same things than I think we realize.
Yeah.
So
And yeah,
that was our fall.
Don't even think it was a break necessarily. It was just, we just weren't recording, but life was not on break. I feel like we were still going through everything and still having our weekly meetings and still, very much busy, but
Involved.
yes, and involved.
Right.
But now we're back to producing episodes, and hopefully all of this life experience is giving us some perspective and conversation.
And I think like for me and you, it's kind of like the acceptance of where we're at, because you and I have been friends for like 23 years, best friends, and so involved in each other's lives. Like literally we were romantic partners without the romance. And they say like you need to treat your girlfriends like a romantic partner. You talk to them the same way, do nice things for them, think about them in that way.
And like nurture the relationship.
Yeah. And it's just like, there's nothing like hanging out with your best friend and just being in their presence.
Yeah.
And for you and I, that's something that's so rare these days, these years, because of our littles. So even when we are together, which I love the littles together too, but it's just such a different transition from how you and I have lived our lives and have always been, and how we envision this podcast being, which is like together and hanging out. But in a way, this is also like a great temporary connection to you, because even though it is virtual, it's at least still having the conversations that we have. But it's not the same. I miss you.
And obviously on that note, anyone watching this visually can see that Danielle and I, for our first time, are recording separately. We're not together. So Danielle has her little setup back in Canada, and I have my little setup here in Arizona. And it's just that phase of life where it's very difficult for us to be together in person at the moment, with me going through my green card process, and like Danielle said, busy with kids and family and life and schedules and trips and holidays and all that. So we thought this is a great way for us to still hopefully be able to stay on track, connect with each other, connect with you guys out there, and still be able to really talk about what's coming up for us and the relevance of current topics whilst not being together in person. So yes, although I miss you, and I would much rather you be sitting next to me right now so that I could stare deep into your eyes, this will do.
I'll zoom in the camera really close so you can see every pore.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that earlier and I was like, wow, I've never seen that before.
Oh,
I thought I have, but I
loved
hadn't.
it when you leaned in so close to the camera. I was like, oh, I love seeing your face close up. It feels like it's real. It feels like I'm right there with you.
That's what life is about. It's about taking a step back and taking a look at yourself from all possible angles, not just literally, but like in every way.
Yeah.
And jumping off that topic, I feel like something huge for me that came up and that is really coming up for me is like the fact that there is a difference between having this awareness and then embodying the awareness. And we've been talking about it a little bit back and forth, just like the idea and concept of that. And it's something I actually see reflected so much more in society now that it just makes me want to explore that gap and that difference of it. And I didn't notice and realize like how different they actually were until I'm really at this point where I am in that gap
Right.
myself.
Right. Honestly, I feel like I
So
am too, because it's one thing entirely to absorb knowledge and be informed and read and educate yourself on things and learn new things and absorb. I feel like we're in this current state where we're constantly absorbing information, but to actually
mhm,
apply it to yourself or to your life or to your habits is an
yeah,
entirely different thing. And so I also feel like I'm very much in the gap of seeing things and knowing things that I want to apply and want to change and habits I want to start having, but actually having them and actually partaking and embodying them is a completely different space.
yeah. So if you are somebody who feels burnt out, dysregulated, or emotionally maybe a little unstable, then this could just be a sign that this awareness, there's a difference between there is like being aware in that and that, that's actually a calling for you to integrate those feelings now into life and into living. I don't know if I'm translating or explaining this clearly. So for me, like I feel like I'm very aware of things. It's actually a trauma response I found out, but it's like you're almost predicting expectations or what people might think or say about you before. So you get like ahead of the curve and like prepare yourself for that almost. I don't know exactly like what I'm trying to say here, but like if you're always preparing and performing and changing yourself, and I'm like learning, I'm like, yep, I'm aware. How do I change? Like, yep, I'm aware. How do I improve myself? And I'm like a very cerebral into like cognitive person. So it creates this like gap of space between me knowing what I would like to be like, how I would like to live my life, how I would like to enjoy my days versus like actually experiencing that. So it's like one thing saying something and then it's one thing living it and actually embodying it. And I think that was a huge lesson or kind of connection that I've made for myself over this holiday is realizing that I'm like, I'm very aware, but how do I
Get there.
be that now, right?
Yeah.
So what often happens is we create shame when we are sitting within that gap because we don't know how to get from A to B,
Right.
but we know that we should be there or we want to be there. So why aren't we? So it creates that kind of added layer to let's break that down and work through there. So I kind of feel like this is a very common theme for most women. And a lot of my friends that I'm talking to, like a lot of women online too, is that like, okay, we're all very aware of things that are going on. We're starting to ask questions. We're starting to be a lot more conscious of like, I'm not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not feeling good? Hence, we start to do more childhood trauma work, inner healing. But it's like, okay, now I know this. I'm doing it, but I still don't know how to embody it and live it. So for me, that's like very much where I am in. I'm in the transition of actually embodying the practice and feeling again in my body, which is hard to do because we don't have much time in the day for that.
No, and I think too, you touched on it earlier, is that it's almost like it's one more task on the list. So where do I even begin? Because now I almost feel like I have this added pressure to embody all of these things and to apply all of the knowledge and to actually live the way that I foresee myself with the
Mm-hmm.
information that I have. And so now I have even more pressure on myself, not from anyone else, but just on myself of being like, okay, you need to do more of this and you need to be more like that. When really the real embodiment of it is probably the opposite of that. It's just
Yeah,
not
it
feeling the
seems so
pressure.
simple.
It's just being. I know it seems so simple. And to talk about it, it seems so simple. So I think that for me, this is just my own opinion and perspective for myself and where I'm sitting right now and what I hope to achieve is I think the first step for me is to like let go of that. Don't let
Yeah.
go at least of the pressure of trying to
Hmm.
apply it all right away and maybe then it can begin.
Yeah, I think most women and like most people in our culture are aware like this hustle mentality, this work hard, fast paced living is starting to die. Like those scripts are starting to go. But what the problem is that the new ones of like rest and slowness and nervous system repair, they're so vague that it's like women don't know. Me, I'm woman, don't know how to optimize kids, work, family, life, events, so and so with that, like you were exactly like you were just saying. So it's like, oh, now I have to do this as well. Almost seen as like an extra task. So it's like it's the art of reducing simultaneous identities, I guess.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about identities in our first season of having to be this, all the things at once.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we reduce that? How do we reduce these roles and identifications and kind of come back to the baseline? So I think that's a really strong, important reflection and question, Brie, is like, how do I do that? And where do I even begin? And how do I not see it as like an added task list per se? Which is a great question and something to reflect on. So I don't have an answer for that.
Either do I. So anyone out there, if you have an answer, feel free to let us know because we're figuring out. But when I was
Yeah.
listening to you speak right there, about adding, because it's almost like finding this tricky little balance between adding the things that you feel you want and adding the things to your life that you feel are going to benefit you while also subtracting other things. And so it's this constant back and forth and constant balance of adding and subtracting so that you don't ever feel overwhelmed. So that because we do live in such a world where overstimulated, overstretched, extending ourselves constantly. So adding and subtracting, but knowing where and how to do that and when is a whole other mountain to climb.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest, I would say, I don't know how to describe that word. It's like common out, like it's something that happens to me common. Like I get an opportunity and I'm like, yep, I'll take it on. And then it's just like I add it on to everything else I'm doing. So I literally am like minute to minute every day. And this year, as you know, I'm like, I'm getting a snail tattoo. My word is slowness. We are slowing down. I feel like I'm ramping speed right back up again because you like get that recharge and regeneration. You're like, vroom, here we go. I can do this. Like women can do it all. We literally can, but in cycles, right?
Yeah.
We just are so used to doing it full force 100% all the time. So I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's just an interesting observation. Like, how do we make space for new things while still doing the things that we need to do and love to do? And I definitely think there has to be a sacrifice and there has to be a boundary because you cannot have your cake and eat it all too. It's like a very much, it's you're overstepping the boundary with yourself too, because you can't just ask and output without refueling back into yourself, which is like just as important it is to output and do. It's equally as important to rest, like
Right.
half day, half night, half hot, half cold, man, woman. There's such an equal balance to it. Sometimes it teeters, but in at cost of the other, or health or whatever it may be that you take from. But there's just always a reaction to the action. So I think it's worth noting, like, or observing, and that's a good first step to take, is maybe just observing your days in your life and just noticing like, oh, wow, I actually spend a lot more time on my phone than I thought I did, like in between going to the bathroom or just waiting for the kids, like, and adding it up, it could take up to maybe an hour or two a day without even realizing it. So maybe first step would be just like analyzing where the time goes, how that time goes, and how that makes you feel, and what you're even feeling in the first place. Because we're always like you said, social media, like optimizing, consuming, bettering, spending, creating. It's just like, let's just take a chill. But the problem with millennials is we don't know how. We literally don't know how because it feels unsafe.
Yeah.
So that's where the work is for us to recondition ourselves to understanding just how important and how safe that space could be, but it's not going to be given to us by anybody else other than ourselves. But it's so interesting how women work. It's almost like when another woman tells somebody else, like, you need to rest, you're laying on the couch for an hour and you're not moving.
Yeah.
It seems like then it's okay to do it.
Right.
It's like we wait for permission, and it's within millennial women, so much is like the underlying good girl narrative. Like, look, I'm working. Look, I'm outputting. Look, I'm such a good mom. I don't stop. Like, look. And it's like we do things as though we're going to get a medal for them or get graded on them or tested. Like we never do.
Right.
But why do we put so much? And then it's like when we are trying to calm down and organize our brains, what do? Let's organize the pantry. Let's organize the plates, like anything, right? It's
That was
just like we're
literally
busy because we don't know how to rest.
Yeah. So I think that that's right there. That's a great question to ask yourself first. And this goes for me too. You said reorganize the pantry. That was me yesterday. Josh and I
Yeah, I was
had our
thinking about you.
planning day and we were pretty much wrapping it up. He's like, do we have anything else to do? I was like, no. He's like, all right, well, we had an hour and a half to kind of do nothing. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go lay down and have a nap. I was like, okay, I'm going to reorganize the pantry. And I
Sounds
completely
about
took the
right.
pantry apart and started to reorganize it. But going back to what I was saying is I think that that's a great place to start. Well, like you said, I think the best place to start is first stepping back and trying to be an observer of your own self and of your own life and your routines and your patterns and your day-to-day. And then ask yourself the question, if slowing down is going to benefit me, what does that look like for me? What does slowing down look like? There's certain areas of your life with your kids that you can't necessarily take away from, or your job or whatever. So find the areas that you are spending time in and saying, okay, can I slow down there? And how? And what does that look like?
And sometimes that looks like reaching out to a friend and being like, even if you're okay, for me, I'm very like A-type. I love organizing. I love scheduling. I love creating lists, tasks. I live very much in that space. And my neighbor, a girlfriend, she was just like, she's very, very much like that too. But for some reason, like when it comes to doing that for ourselves, even though we are naturally like those people, it becomes a little bit more difficult. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. So she reached out to me and I was shocked because I was like, what? You are exactly like that. So it just took an evening of sitting down, talking about all hopes and dreams. And it was just like, I was loving it. Like, here you go. Here's your perfect plan of your week, your section, your segregated times. And now she's like a part of our kid swap. So it gives us an opportunity to like lean into our sisters, into our friends, into community, into other people, asking for help, which is another thing that most millennials just will never do because we've been learned and taught we have to do it all by ourselves, which is another myth that we have to break, asking for help. And just think about how that made me feel, makes me think I want to ask for help from somebody because it made me feel good to help her. And now I was just dropping off Lola at her house this morning and she was telling me how yesterday one of her childhood friends reached out to her and asked her to help her organize her life and her schedule.
It's a
And it's
ripple
just like,
effect.
exactly. It's the ripple effect. So I don't know why that story came to mind, but
Well, you were
something off
saying
of
that
what you
that's
said.
maybe a place that you can start is
Oh yeah,
asking for
asking
help,
community. Yeah.
even if it's like one afternoon on a Saturday. Like, hey, one afternoon a month on Saturday, can so and so watch the kids so that we just have that, whether it's with your significant other or on your own or whatever that looks like. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's different for everybody. I think that's for each person to kind of navigate and figure out what that is on their own. But I think you nailed it.
Something that really works for me that was just very difficult because I'm also very type of person, like I was saying, I've got lots of projects. So I've got every minute of the day doing something. I know it's also a problem. But something that I've started doing probably a few months ago now, and I've been quite consistent in it, except for a rare exception, is waking up early from the kids because I realistically find like that's when my brain is the sharpest and freshest. And it's like I get my own cozy little nook in my bed. My nightstand's like an altar. And I spend my time like body scanning, meditation changes every day. The point is to act myself intuitively, like what do I need in that moment? Because when else in the day do you really do that with yourself, especially when the kids wake up? And like when I wake up at the same time as the kids and I go, it's just like I am gone. And I definitely am more susceptible to like reactions, emotions, just not my best self and just, just feeling behind. So I'm tired sometimes, but now I'm actually getting to the point where my body's waking up on its own. Never would I thought it would do that at 6 a.m. And I'm like excited because I know how like the first few times was a little bit like, okay, come on. But then like just noticing, and I'm not even kidding you, like the difference that I feel from tapping into myself first, getting into my body first. Soma healing for me is a huge focus this year. And I like, journaling, meditating, reading have all been like a very good channel and outlet for me. Just something that I'm including this year is more body work, like the actual feeling and the physical release, because emotions are energy that are just in motion. They need to move, they need to flow, they need to come out somewhere. That's why if you're somebody who's like a fidgety all the time, twirling, like that's your body saying, I have energy that needs to go somewhere. You need to go take a walk. You need to go for a run. You need to do something to give your body that outlet it's asking for. So that to me has tremendously shifted my days and my mind, is by giving myself those 2 hours. I can definitely share with you guys. If you're interested, just hit us up on Instagram, send me a DM or whatever.
2 hours.
put all
Your
of our
kids
links
don't wake up
below.
until 8?
Oh no, Gabe goes and gets Wilder at 7, watches him from 7 to 8 with Lola, and then we swap.
Oh,
and then Gabe
so
has from 8 to
nice.
9.
What a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. So depending on when Wilder wakes up, sometimes like he's pretty good now. He'll take himself pee and then he'll go back to bed until his light turns green at 7. So Gabe will have like an hour to do his breathing and his workout. Then he'll be with the kids for an hour, and then he'll have an extra hour after that. And it works for now. It always shifts and constantly changes. And, you know, sometimes the kids are up all night with being sick. So I prefer to have those hours to sleep, and then I miss it. So if you miss it for a day or two, you know, it's not about being so structured and regimented. It's just about consistently showing up for yourself and training your nervous system and training your inner self that I am worth this time.
Yeah.
I am here for you. I am not leaving you. And you know, you will just, it's so subtle. It seems so simple, and it's like, this can't be it, but it is. And that's the work. The slowness and the simpleness is the sign that it's working. And that's the point. It's because it's like, if you're believing that, it's like, oh, I'm not experiencing these miraculous changes. And that's just who I am. My mindset being like, why is my psoriasis not healed? I'm doing all the work. Why is it not gone? And like, that right there is the medicine, because it's not about the speed of which it happens. It's about that consistent showing up and that consistent regulation. And that's a big theme for women and men. Actually, yeah, men. I don't talk to much men, but women this year is nervous system regulation. I think we're all, like we said at the beginning, you know, burnt out, fried, dysregulated. But we don't know how to regulate it. So it's kind of like we're learning the art of kind of coming home to ourselves again. So it's a huge year, 2026. I feel such great energy and shifts coming our way.
Me too.
For
Big
sure.
time. Big time.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm like making this a solo podcast.
Oh
here.
my gosh. No, it's great. Are you kidding? I feel like you have been going through a lot of transition and transformation but you are doing the work. I mean, you just said it. Every morning you're doing the work with yourself. You're working with a somatic coach right now. Like you are doing the work. So to talk about it is beneficial for everybody, because I think.
Okay. Sorry. Go on.
I think that everything you have to
story for you.
say is valuable. So continue.
I was going to say, I actually have a story for you about my first Soma session, which was this Friday. And we did it at like 7 a.m. my time, which is perfect, because like I was working with myself for an hour before. My brain is sharp and fresh, no kids, like ready to go. And immediately we hop online and we're virtual, and it's a recorded virtual session. So she's going to give me the recording and the notes after. I have a client portal. I can access all the exercises, everything we've talked about. So obviously, like, I have my notepad there, because I feel like I'm that type of person, like when I'm writing it, it's like integrated more and it's like in my body. So she's talking and I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing. And then we're like talking about a conversation. And then I just start doodling. Like, I'm big doodler, doodle, 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 as I'm talking to her, scribbling, and then like kind of looking at her, kind of looking down, like trying to memorize what I want to say to her, because I'm like, how do you tell somebody in such a short time everything about yourself that they understand you to work with you? So I'm like trying to prepare my mind, half in and out of listening. And she's like, are you note taking? And I was like, yeah, sorry. Like I have to like note take. I have to output this. Right. And she's like, oh my gosh, like I remember so much. She's like, that reminds me so much of me. Like I used to be exactly like that. Like I had different markers for headers and subtitles and pens and dates and my name. She's like, I was just like that. Like I always had my notepad, and it was just, I loved it. And she's like, I actually really miss that part of myself looking at you. Like it reminds me, and I miss her. And then she was like, I just want to like give you a gentle reminder, like this is being recorded. You will have a transcript after. The point is for you to be fully present here with me. So I'm going to ask you not to be taking notes. And then like, I'm like, and talking to her. And for some reason, like my eyes start tearing up with tears. And I'm like, of course, yep, definitely. totally understandable. And like, I'm starting to get emotional. I'm like, why am I getting emotional? And then I look at my phone. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to get my period in a few days here. That's the reason. But then I'm like, she's starting to talk. She's like, okay, I can see you're starting to get a little bit emotional. Let's start getting into the work. So tears are starting to like stream my face, and she's like, gets your eyes to close. She's like, okay, let's just close our eyes and get in touch with the body right away. And she's like, what's that emotion that you're feeling like right now? Like, why do you feel like you're getting a reaction? And I was just like, I don't know why I'm feeling emotional, but I felt embarrassed, and I felt a little bit ashamed because also at the beginning she was like, she did a huge intake form to like ask me questions about my parents, my life, all these things. And then she was like, can I ask you, did you use ChatGPT for the intake form? And I was like, well, like I spoke into it like it was my diary, and then it like summarized it really nice for me. She's like, okay, I'm going to ask you moving forward to like not use AI.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not wrong. It's fine. She's like, I really want you to practice for coming from a place of authenticity and whatever. And right. So I'm like, And then she went into the note taking thing, and then my eyes started to tear up because I was embarrassed.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, like I can't hold back my tears right now. And like, this is so embarrassing. And they started streaming down. She's like, okay, let's just close our eyes and come into our body for a moment. Like, what is it that you're feeling? And I'm like, I'm embarrassed that you caught me. Like I just feel ashamed that that I did do it. And I want you to know who I am. And I'm just like taking the notes because I want to. And then she's just like, note taking and fidgeting is just like a very much example of like, you need to address this energy that's trying to go somewhere. Like it's a trauma response.
Right.
And then also she's like, in the embarrassment, like, she's like, let's explore that. She's like, on a level of 1 to 10, like how much is it? Like, is it strong? And I was like, honestly, it's like a 4. I'm like, yeah, it's embarrassing, but at the same time, I'm not going to let it kill me or defeat me here. I'm like, I'm aware it's not who I am. It's just sucks that happened.
Right.
Like on our first session, damn, you know? And I don't want her to see that because I want her to see me as like, you know, as most people do.
Right.
The best versions of yourself, even though she's going to go into the deep versions of myself. So it was just a moment where she was like, okay, now can we expand that feeling, or do you want to keep it the same? And then she was like, when was the first time you felt this feeling? And then I had to connect it to a childhood experience when I did feel that. So we did a lot of like inner child work, a lot of connection, like me holding and working with that, exploring the stories, asking what she needed in that moment and and it was just like, I'm not even kidding you, Briana, my eyes were shut for an hour straight, and it was like puddles of water under me, because just like tears and tears and tears and tears of things and memories I didn't even think affected me or had any impact on me. So it was beautiful. So that's why I said to you when we were chatting earlier, I'm like, I have way more childhood trauma than I thought I did.
Yeah.
But we're working through it.
I would imagine that a lot of people probably do, but that's pretty incredible. And I love that you're doing the work. I love that you're working with a coach, and also having the awareness,
needs a coach.
and also having the realness and the rawness to not only share it with your coach, but to now share it with all of us. So very proud of you. Always impressed by you.
Thanks, Boo. I'm just trying to push through the fear, because I'm like, our stories are our stories. They're already lived. I'm not wrong for my choices and who I am. I just want to share my voice to let other women know that they're not alone. They're not wrong. What they're going through, can be very similar to what other people are going through.
Very normal.
And very normal. And extend myself to other people, other women in communities, and hold them. But, you know, first, that's exactly where this work lies, is beginning to increase capacity for myself. Because what I've realized, and we were talking a little bit about in our lives in the fall, was my nervous system was just like screaming for me to pay attention, to do something about it. And it was so reflected in Wilder's behavior and my interaction and level of engagement with my own family, where it was like a wake-up call for me, being like, okay, my physical health is not great. My mental health is not great. My emotional health is not great. So I need to make a shift somehow, some way, because I cannot keep not showing up for my kids in the way that I've been dreaming about. That's finally here, you know? So it's the hardest work we'll ever do, is always staying true to ourselves, because we live in a society and a culture and a world to convince us that that's the one we shouldn't be, you know?
And
it's just so weird.
I think facing the realization that I don't remember the exact saying, but it's something along the lines of like, if you don't change anything, then nothing will change. And I think that that's a really hard realization for some people. And I know that it has been for me in the past, is like, if I don't do something to make a real drastic change, then the outcome is never going to change. I'm just going to keep repeating the same cycle and keep being faced with the same lessons in this lifetime until I consciously choose to make a change in my behaviors, my habits, my decisions, whatever it is. That's the only way there's going to be a different outcome. If I just keep living the same life with all the same choices, I'm going to continue to get the same results. So I think that
Yeah.
that's also a tough one because, it's kind of along those lines of sometimes it's more comfortable to live with the demons you have than to heal them and to live without them, because that's what's been comfortable for you for so long, whether you call it demons, trauma, past memories, personalities, behaviors, whatever it is. If you've had them and you've lived in that space for so long, that's what's comfortable for you. It's scarier to live without them sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the growth, that's the breakthrough, that's the hard stuff in order to get through to the other side often.
Step one is awareness,
Yes.
right? Is that it happens. And then kind of how we jumped in, we kind of just jumped straight into like, awareness is not enough. You need embodiment. Step one is awareness, which is huge.
Yeah.
So many of us can go through our lives with masks or veils or shields on and not even, unfortunately, like have the capacity to ask ourselves that question or to even open up space for ourselves to work through those things.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is very much a trauma response. But when you think about how sophisticated and intelligent we were as children to be able to even protect ourselves the way that we needed
Yeah.
to get to where we are today. So like what's seen as a behavior now as an adult is like that's not acceptable as an adult in society,
Right.
that's not mature, but maybe it's because that part of ourselves as adults have never been taught that or had space to feel safe, which has created a conditioned response or a pattern in our behavior or our psychology. And now in like just it's a lot of adults are just children in costumes, it's just like the same behaviors in different costumes
Sure.
as adults. So they come through in different ways, but it's trauma responses that our bodies have developed and so intelligently designed to protect us as children. And when you look at that back as an adult, it's like one, you have empathy if you are able to for a person who is struggling a lot, because it's likely the fact that they have a lot of unresolved traumas. They just may not have tools or ability to do so or to work through it. But most people do. Like the hardest part is just being aware of it, because most people can just be dicks and assholes and just be like, that's just who I am, and
Yeah.
go with it. And some people don't like personal and self-care work. They just don't ever do it, which is fine.
Yep.
It's everybody's journey. The only person you can control, which will shift your whole outward life anyway, is you. Not control. Sorry. Not control. We are shifting our language in 2026 is
The
hold
only-
space for.
Yeah.
Because
the
once you
only
try to
one-
control something, it's
The only decisions you can truly make are for yourself. So,
right.
but I feel like, all in all, it's all of this to say it's not about finding a resolution. I think it's just about having more integration
Mhm.
in the direction that you're heading towards. It's not, that old saying goes, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I think that that's really applicable here. I think that so many people just want to see the end result and see themselves there. And they're like, well, I want to be there. But I think about just having some slow integration and slow awareness and observation and moving from
Not put so
there.
much pressure on ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to have a big perfect bow on it today, It's
Yeah.
small steps and
It's the consistency.
Yep. Yeah.
Regulation. Nervous system regulation is by showing up for yourself every day in small, consistent actions where
Yes.
you're retraining the nervous system. You're showing up each day, and that compounds over time. You may not think it does,
What do they
but
say?
it
It takes
does.
21 days to build a new habit, something like that. I don't know what the exact number is, but
I've heard 7, 14, and 21.
yeah,
So
there we go.
something
So
with
who
a
knows?
7.
But basically, consistency is key. And speaking of
Consistent.
which, we will now be more consistent with these
Mhm.
episodes because we have our own little setups and easy to hop on. So we hope that we can continue to join each other in this journey of both of us also learning along with everyone else, and hope that, you guys can resonate with this a little bit. And we hope to keep these discussions going.
Yeah, and be sure to like and subscribe if you can. Leave us a comment. We would appreciate to hear what you have to say so much. And if you'd love to chat, head over to Instagram at the Honey Toast Podcast, and you can leave us a DM, message us. We love interacting with you. Let us know what you thought about the episode or any other topics that you would like to explore, or even just what you're going through. And if you want to chat, we are here for you. We love you and we appreciate you so much. And we hope you have a wonderful day or night. Bye-bye.
Or whatever time it is.
Wrap it up.
Bye-bye.
I wanna be